Latangela, my first question I wanted to ask you is, when did you know you wanted to be in the entertainment business, like acting, first of all?
Oh, it's always been me as a kid. I started off doing pageants when I was about 7 years old, when I lived in Austin, Texas. So it's always been part of my life.
I'm gonna guess you were really young when you got the role of Maritza for Taina. How did that process work about you getting the role?
Well, it was actually a long process. I was in New York auditioning for a long time before. I did like a few industrial things, few commercials here and there, print jobs, but it was a long time before I had really booked a major role. And I had actually auditioned for Nickelodeon, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years before I even booked Taina on different projects, though. And I just hadn't, they seemed to like me, but they didn't tell me yes. And so I just had to keep going back. And I was also a City Kid, which is it's a repertory company in New York called City Kids Repertory. And so I was doing a lot of work with them. It was just kind of like a weekend thing, workshop where you go and we did shows around town sometimes. But they actually it's a big organization. A lot of celebrities are part of it. So Nickelodeon actually they wrote a script based on that repertory company called Rep, and they actually cast me as the lead on that. But it never ended up. We never ended up shooting a pilot for it. And so from that project, moved me to the Taina project because that's the script that kind of took Rep's place. So it was just kind of one of those things. When it happened, it was for me. Like, they knew who they wanted to take the character of Maritza and Taina. So they knew they had me in mind from the beginning of that project.
I love it, and you nailed the role perfectly. And I must say,
Thank
I
you.
talked to Kalia like 3 weeks ago. She said
Oh, okay.
yeah, she said she auditioned for many different roles for Nickelodeon. Was that the same for you as well? For other?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's what it was. It was the process of just finding the right role, I guess, because I had auditioned for them multiple times. That's why you should never give up.
Yes, exactly. And the pilot was shot in New York City, correct?
It was actually shot in New Jersey. I
Oh,
think it was. Yeah, it was shot in what was that town? I think it was Marlboro, New Jersey. It was a small town. The little coffee shop. I remember it was a cute little kind of like old style downtown area where we shot that. But it was New Jersey.
that is news to me because I thought Kalia said she said in New York City, and I saw an article that it was in the city, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, yeah, no, because there was actually a scene that we did at a performing arts school that was in
Right.
the city, but the coffee shop and stuff like that, a lot of it was shot in New Jersey as well. So yeah, but it's partly right. There was a few scenes in New York. So.
Perfect, perfect. And that was a good process because going from that to, the urban, the high life, the city to going down to Orlando, down at the Nickelodeon Studios when you guys got picked up for the first season. Like, what was your first
Right.
impression of the building, first of all, when you got there, Nick?
I thought it was awesome because we were in Universal Studios. Like it was
Mm,
pretty much we had the theme park as our backyard. So
yeah.
I thought it was awesome. I mean, it's a lot easier shooting inside of a studio also because you don't have to deal with weather elements and stuff like that. So it actually is better because each scene changes right on the same set pretty much, or around the corner, but it's all in one building. So, but I was excited. We had really nice dressing rooms, and it was where they were shooting shows that we all watched, like Double Dare and Slime Time Live and all that stuff. So it was kind of exciting being a part of that.
And is it true that as soon as you guys got there is when you guys shot Double Dare 2000, you and the rest of the cast and No One Knows Best?
Yeah, we actually shot that before we started shooting Taina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the first thing.
Yeah, Kalia did tell me that. I mean, I still watched that episode. That was a fun episode. You guys were having a
It
ball.
really was, and I just saw it not that long ago. I was like, oh my god, somebody had posted it on YouTube or something. I was like, what is that?
What is it like to get slimed, first of all? What was it like? Describe the feeling of it.
It's disgusting. Oh my gosh, it's disgusting. That stuff was in. I mean, I remember we had blueberries. Something was like blue stuff that they poured all over us, but that stuff was everywhere. We were all. It's like based.
Yeah.
So you smell like vanilla pudding, really.
Mm-hmm.
But it was gross after a while, and then it was just all in our hair, our extensions. Like, it was just hard. Everybody had to get their hair redone. Like, it was just bad.
But what was so fun about it is that you guys did the obstacle course, but at the end of the episode, you guys got into this basic food fight with the host Jason Harris, and you guys just went. You at that point, you guys were like, we don't care anymore. We're just having fun.
Yes, and it was. It was exactly like that. It felt like, I remember we had like a party after that and stuff, and we hung out with the No One Knows Best cast and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Everybody was like one big family, kind of.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can describe a typical day of shooting an episode at the building.
Well, it was basically our week would start. It would be like each episode would kind of be framed around a 5-day week, and we would start the top of the week doing table reads, just to kind of go through the script and see what the story was about. And we do that for the first day, and then like the next couple of days would just be like us with the director on set, sort of blocking out each scene and rehearsing each scene. And we only actually shoot 2 days of the week. So Thursday and Friday would be our shoot days. So by the time we got to Thursday and Friday, everybody pretty much should be off book. Everybody should be able to run through the scenes fairly quickly and know your blocking very well. And we shoot that in studio with no audience, the whole show, top to bottom, maybe a few times on Thursday. But when we got to Friday, it was like pretty much the day started a little bit later, and we'd shoot the entire show in front of a live audience. We'd shoot like a little bit before they got there, and then to make sure we had, safety on all of the scenes, and then we'd shoot a live show in front of the audience. And 9 times out of 10, 90% of that show would be what you'd see on TV.
Yeah, that's another good thing because we always figured that audiences, are they really there for the whole show or they're just there for the parts of the show? But I'm really glad that you said they were 90%. We saw the audience really clapping and laughing. So
yes, it was, and that was because our energy was the best when they were there, because they would really be reacting. So they would end up using those scenes, and like I said, 90% of the shows would end up being the live show. So it was just way better energy. We'd all perform so much better.
yeah, I mean, what was the best part about having the studio audience, first of all, for you?
And just hearing them actually laugh at us, because every once in a while you'd embellish a line here and there, or the way that, you did your physical comedy or whatever. You'd have the writers and everybody laughing on set, but they wrote it. So it's like when you have an audience there that hasn't, that's totally biased, and they're actually laughing at your jokes, that's the best feeling, to feel that real energy from them.
Definitely, definitely, and you can't forget about the studio tour when you guys were like rehearsing or getting your makeup done. The visitors able to like pass through this glass window and see you guys. What was?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. And that was before we actually hit the air, so it was kind of surreal, because I'm always the type, that I'm always trying to like not be too much of a diva or anything, so it felt weird for me. Like, I was just like, they're really so excited to see us, and like we're really about to be famous because of the show. And like I said, we hadn't been on the air yet, so to be down there and actually having like tours and signing autographs already before we really even started shoot, before the show actually aired, was it was exciting, but it was a little bit surreal too.
That's interesting that you didn't want to be a diva because that was the complete opposite of the character Maritza.
Total complete opposite. It was so funny because we have runners and stuff. They want to, only because they want to know where we are at all times. So we'd have to send somebody for whatever we needed, and people would always come. They'd always come like, "You need anything?" And I'm just like, "No, I'm fine. I'm okay." And they're like, "Well, listen, you gotta ask, because this is what we're here for. Like, if you need something, we'll get it." And I'd always try to sneak off and get my own stuff. And they'd just be like, "You gotta stay still. You gotta know where you are." So, it was weird for me. You had to get used to that.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely do. But that's really what's one of the best things about it because you guys get, the fans get up close and personal with the stars basically. So I
Yes.
guess that's what I
And
loved
it was
about
like
it.
that in LA too, on our live days, because we have to stay after and sign a couple hundred autographs every Friday. So we always got a chance to talk to the audience, and sometimes we go out into the audience in the studio. When the hype person was there, it was a comedian or something, be there, and we'd always come out. So it was good. We got to interact a lot.
Awesome. And one of the things that I hear from many people who worked at the Florida is that the staff was just so much wonderful and so positive. But for you, how great was everyone who worked there, the staff?
Oh, everybody was awesome. They were the best people. They were just so helpful and so personal and so patient. And everybody was awesome. Really, I remember it being the best time. I had no problems with anybody.
Awesome, awesome. And I want to touch base on this because I know you spent, like we said earlier, you spent a little bit in Florida, but you guys were in Orlando. And what was one of the good things about living and working there, first of all, for you?
First off, it was beautiful. I mean, my mom lives in Pensacola, and it's beautiful there as well. But it's a different type of, Orlando reminds you a little bit more of like kind of more Miami-ish a little bit in some spots because it's just the palm trees are everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's just, it's so pretty. Grass was just super green everywhere. They had us in sort of like a resort area, and, so it really felt like, where we were staying, where all the tourists were staying and stuff. So it was really nice. And the food down there, oh my God, so awesome. We
Yeah.
ate ourselves to death. Down in Orlando, there was so much good food. And also, just kind of the scene. I remember our stylist. His name was Bruce, and I forget his last name, but he was so much fun because he used to take us out and kind of. She was living down there, from down there, so he would kind of show us the nightlife and stuff like that. We'd go out every once in a while and just kind of
Wow.
see real Orlando. Yeah, so it was really fun. We had so much fun down there.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot to tell you, I have family down there. I've always visited there. And let me tell you, those shopping malls down there are magnificent. I mean,
Man, the outlet area, oh my
yeah.
gosh, we spent our whole check down there. Like, it was ridiculous. We stayed at the outlet mall.
It's one fascinated about me because you guys, it's almost like local celebrities living in Orlando and not something where somewhere, first of all, like LA or New York, where there's actors all over. But to be into that special small support group system was really cool, I must say.
Yeah, it was. And like I said, we hadn't really, the only buzz that was around in Orlando at that time about us was the stuff that was in the paper and a little bit of news coverage, a few interviews we did here and there. So people were hearing about us in the news and the media, but we weren't on television yet as far as, the show airing. But
Hmm.
once we got to LA, it was just different. That's when we started doing the Kids Choice Awards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You really saw, all the fans. And even when we flew to the Bahamas, Christina and I had to shoot Snick out there, and there were fans there because we were airing in London and stuff. So it was
Wow.
just crazy. Hmm.
Like you said earlier, this was Universal Studios. I mean, a movie studio doubling as a theme park. Like, first of all, what was one of your favorite rides or attractions to get on there?
Oh my goodness, we used to go into we still have all the roller coasters for one.
Yeah.
Like we ride those over and over again because we never had to stand in any lines. So we always go through the exit, and so we'd always get in the front of the roller coaster and stuff. The first car, and we just daredevils. And so it was just those were what we did over and over again. It was all the roller coasters pretty much, and it was just crazy. Like that would be our lunch break. We go, we grab something to eat, and we go out there and play, basically.
Yeah, the Hulk and the Dueling Dragons, Spider-Man, all of that. Those were
Oh,
terrific.
yeah, oh my goodness, and yeah, then had the 3D movie theaters and stuff like that. It was awesome. So, and I remember Michael Jackson coming down there one time bringing his kids, and
What? Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. I found that from Kalia. Actually, she told me a lot.
yeah, yeah, that was crazy. We were all kind of like, oh my gosh, what's
Yeah,
going on?
and that's awesome. And the same year, you guys used to go to City Walk to different restaurants and clubbing. Did you guys used to do that too as a cast? The City Walk.
Yes, we did. We went to City Walk all the time. Emerald's Restaurant, Hard Rock Cafe. We did all that. Yeah.
And I have to ask, like, when you were down there, was there kind of like a downsizing activity that was going on, first of all, and that kind of what affected you guys moving to LA to get more exposure and stuff like that through the show?
I think that as far as like all the politics of that, I'm not exactly sure why. I know it was some things with staffing. I know they wanted to kind of cut down on staffing because they felt like, budget-wise, it didn't make sense to have one there and in LA because that's where majority of the shooting was going on. Because they were shooting in LA at that time also. They were just shooting other shows there.
Hmm.
So I think the cost of running both studios was probably not making sense anymore for them.
Oh, okay, okay. And like you said, LA, you guys got to do more Kids Choice Awards, get more interviews and press and stuff. And you guys were on a roll basically, but then the show ended pretty much prematurely. Like
Right.
I'm sure you don't know the politics, but can you explain like what do you think happened with the show for it to end?
Well, I vaguely, it was just one of those things where, I think creatively they were having a conflict. There was musically we were all supposed to be tied in. Christina had some conflicting things with MCA, I think, at the time, and I don't know if it was prior to her Taina contact and kind of trickled over into it. I'm not sure of all those logistics, but I just know it ended up kind of just being a conflict in terms of our contract because music was just such a big part of our show that they couldn't work out the particulars on that, and it had two major companies kind of battling it out, and that's kind of as far as what I know on it, that's what I heard. But as far as the time frames and how it all worked out, because we were all shocked by it. We just didn't know because our ratings were so good. We never expected to go off the air.
Well, it's really sad to me. I loved it, but like you said, the memories do live on. And when you hear people saying they still love Taina and it's associated with the '90s Nickelodeon thing, it's made such a positive impact on folks, and it's still loved today. How does that make you feel?
It's great because I still do get a lot of messages from fans saying that they define their childhood years as the Taina years, and that's major. I mean, that's just that's how it's the same way I think of the Cosby Show. So we did make an impact, and one of my best friends now was actually Sean, who you speak to.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's actually my best friend now, but he is we started off as a fan, of Taina, and it was his loyalty that brought us into contact with each other, and he says it as well. It was an inspiration for him in his performing arts, pursuit of performing arts, because he's a singer and an actor as well. And he was like, that was kind of a defining moment when our show was on the air that kind of, let him know what he really wanted to do. So it's awesome, even though it's short lived. I feel like I was a part of a special project and something that was groundbreaking because we were one of the first shows to do the whole music. Kids doing music on TV and all that type of stuff. We were kind of one of the first shows to do that format. So I still feel very honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, let me tell
Definitely.
you why it's so memorable. The music and the message and the theme. I mean, Taina was a Latina family, chronicling her
Right.
dreams that had never been done before, but still
Right.
for her friends to be associated with it and just having, family. As long as you have family, your good faith and your vows, that's you'll pull through. Your dreams will come true. That's what I love about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's a story about a dreamer, and that's everybody's story now. So it's so relevant.
Yes, and of course the music. One of my favorite episodes is singing with the enemy. Do you remember that where you got?
Yes, that is my favorite episode. Everybody's favorite.
I love it because I still sing it like you should stop hating. I love it. But
Yes.
when when you look back on that, I mean I'm sure the outfits are kind of like a pain in the butt. When you look back, the fashion does it like do you cringe sometimes the fashion you guys used to wear?
Oh, well, for Maritza, she was always in something crazy. So when I would go to wardrobe, I'd be like, oh my gosh. But I was so used to her being in something stupid or whatever that it was just her character. So it was always fun to, throw on those costumes and stuff. But, I noticed I watch Disney Channel sometimes and I'll see, I think it was I'm not sure which show it was, but there's a character on there, the London character. I used to watch it when my son was younger, and it was this little Asian girl that played the London character on one of those shows. I used to see her in some of my outfits. Like, it was crazy. Like, I was like, wardrobe, it must be the same wardrobe team. Because like, she was that character, that kind of Maritza-like character, so I would see some of the outfits that I would wear, and it was just fun though. She was nuts. So it was just crazy character.
But do you still keep in touch with any of the cast members from Taina though?
I do. I talked to Lisa, the most recent.
Oh,
Me and her was just really close, so we kind of keep in contact as much as we can. And I actually talked to Christina and Chris on Twitter not that long ago.
Oh.
And just every once in a while, and Christina's sister, Lisa, I talk to her as well. We're all kind of family, so we all speak every once in a while. But I haven't talked to Kalia in a long time. I think her and David are the two that I have not spoken to in a while.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I know. Do you have a favorite behind the scenes memory from being in Orlando at the Nick Studios, though?
What is that? Let me see. What did we do down there? I think it was when we had, like, I don't know. I think as far as, like, the cast and crew, we had a huge barbecue at my house one weekend, and it was like the tubs of sangria, and I'm talking about the executives down to the PAs, all the actors. Like, it was just my little apartment was just overflowing with everybody, and it was kind of towards the end of the first season, and that was a good time. That was just kind of, because we all were just kind of, we're hanging out regular in sweatpants and pajamas and eating up food and having a drink a little bit, and just having a good time. So it was actually, that was one of the best parties we had down there. So it was fun.
Yeah, that is fun because it shows you guys could still be regular basically and not have that celebrity exposure. Not really yet though when you guys moved to LA, but still be intimate sort of. And that's what I loved about you guys shooting in Florida because it exposed to have a movie studio lot and have a musical was to makes more sense for the show. But to be in LA, like presses stuff, I think both areas work out well for the show. Basically, that's what I think.
Right. Right, yeah, and it was, and we had that same camaraderie when we went to LA, but it was just kind of a more of a laid back scene in Orlando. So you felt like pulling out your grill and stuff like that. It was just that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So a lot like home.
Yeah. Now let's move on to the present now because you have Military Bratz. Now, no, now I'm sure you would love to talk about that. So please explain more about that book and your thoughts on it.
Well, basically, Military Bratz I am a military brat, so that's sort of where the title came from, but it's kind of the polar opposite of Maritza. It's an anti-bullying book. She's kind of a bully. But this is actually an anti-cyberbullying book, to be more specific, just because with so much going on with the kids and the internet and the suicide rate going up, and I just kind of felt like, we're putting devices in our kids' hands at an earlier age, so it may be time to sort of create a children's book that speaks on that a little bit more, and kind of gives little kids the tools that they need to deal with, because that's why it's so overwhelming for kids now. We were sort of, the internet came after the fact for us, so it's not as serious, even though we understand it's an integral part of life right now. It's not as emotional, we're not as emotionally attached to it as kids that are born into it. So now I feel like they look at the internet like it's a person almost, so we have to give them these tools to help them deal with the adversities of the internet a little bit better. So that's kind of where the story came from. I started off writing it as a cartoon years ago, and I pitched it to Nickelodeon actually years ago, and they were considering it, but at that time it didn't fit any of their formats. They have SpongeBob and stuff that's super silly, and this isn't that silly. So it just kind of wasn't fitting the format, but it was also a blessing in disguise because cyberbully character and everything, so it came later. And it developed into what it is now. And so I just recently had it published, and it was released in November of 14. And so we're on Amazon.com and BarnesandNobles.com, and you can go to MilitaryBratz.com and get it as well. I also, with every purchase, I donate to Children of Wounded Warriors. They are... there's a lot of attention on the wounded warriors, but not so much on their kids, and they're going through a lot too, and this is kind of to help those kids when their parents have to focus on medical bills and the more serious issues, we can kind of provide money for those kids that still want to play basketball, still want to be a kid, or whatever. So that's kind of what Children of Wounded Warriors is about. So every time you buy a book, we donate a portion of those proceeds to them. So we're kind of trying to do two good things with one book, basically. And it'll be in Barnes and Nobles as well. The physical store is very soon also, so you can request it. And schools also, they can request, events that we can come to appearances or, order the book as well. We're trying to start touring a little bit more this year to each school and and just spreading the message, if nothing else, whether they buy the book or not.
I think something like this is really important because the cyberbullying these days is out of control. You hear stories about
It
kids
really is.
taking their own life. I mean, goodness. I mean, that's just
Yes.
mind blowing to me. I mean,
It is, and one of the documentary Bully kind of touched me really deeply, and one of the kids that's featured on that story is Ty Smalley. His family started Stand for the Silent, and I also met with them in person, and I should be teaming up with them as well, touring schools and kind of helping spread their message, because he was 11, and he, basically killed himself in his parents' bedroom, behind bullying, and it's devastating, so it's just like these babies are killing themselves. They have so much life to look forward to, and it's not worth it. My book is about self-empowerment. That's one of the, I'm not saying it's the solution, but I think that's one of the biggest weapons you can use against bullies is being sure of yourself, and just spreading more positive energy, combating negative energy with positive energy. We're coming to know that that's a real thing more and more now, so that's why I'm starting with the babies. I want them to know that from the beginning that, you can do anything if you believe in yourself. You really can. So.
yeah, speaking on that, I'm really kind of, well, used to be really fortunate this show when Taina was bringing stuff on air. You guys were really lucky that social media wasn't prevalent yet because I'm sure
Oh, wow.
the character Maritza would have gotten attacked on from her hating on on Taina and her goals and the friends and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, it would have been so much, and I mean, it was a little bit. There was a little bit of the internet, but it definitely wasn't at the level that it is now.
Yeah.
And even then, when you hear little things about Maritza and stuff, it kind of, I was raised to be a pretty strong kid, but it gives you a little feeling. You have a little thing, little twinge, that you feel when you read something like that, and then you have to snap yourself back into reality. Like, they don't know me; it's just a character. These kids are just emotional to the character, and she is a bad person, kind of, or whatever. So it's just you have to kind of build up this thick skin. But you're right. We might not have been ready had it been at the level that it is now.
Yeah, and this is going to sound kind of funny, but true in a way. I believe that the theme of the book should be "I'm in love with me" that you recorded for the soundtrack. Just for the
Oh
message for
yeah,
those kids.
definitely. You're right. That's also one of the on my website. I actually for the Military Bratz, I'ma Do Me is kind of a self empowerment, which is my own independent single
Right.
that's on YouTube. That one is a self empowerment song as well. But I'm in love with me definitely is relevant to the story, because I mean I hear people say now too as well. They'll play that in the morning just to feel good about themselves before they walk out of the door. So music is everything. So
Yeah.
you're definitely right.
Self-empowering. That's what it's all about. And I know you
Right.
have I'm a Do Me. So are you going to do more music in the future too? Do you plan on doing that?
Yeah, I am. Music is one of those things that's kind of a funny place for me. I kind of feel like I'm still figuring out what it is I really want to put out there. I write as well. So I've been writing a lot of music, but all of it sounds like it can be on 5 different albums. So, while I'm trying to really figure out where I want to go with my own music, I'm still trying to incorporate that in everything that I do. I'm still out there auditioning, and of course, I might land a show where I'm singing again. You never know. And that was how it was the first time. I mean, I had gone after record deals. I almost signed with LaFace. I had a lot of things. If music was really what I was pushing. And then when I booked the show, it gave me the opportunity to do music and act, and it was a lot easier at the time because I didn't have to deal with the grittiness of the music industry, but I can still do it, And so that's kind of why I ended up doing the soundtrack the way that I did. But I definitely have the singing bug. I do want to sing. But right now I'm just writing and trying to figure that out. And so, you may hear my music on other people's albums right now or soundtracks. I have no idea. Kind of
Oh,
leave that
okay.
up to them.
Military Bratz is in stores right now. You can buy it at any
Oh,
bookstore.
yeah, actually, what you can do is it's available for distribution at any store. So if it's not at a store that you buy your books from, you can always have them order it. And you can also order it from militarybratz.com, amazon.com, barnesandnobles.com, and it will be in Barnes& and Noble shortly. So we had to do a few re-edits for Barnes and Nobles, but you can order it from the website now. But as far as walking in a Barnes and Noble, they won't be able. They're the one store that will not be able to order it for like the next 30 days or so. So
All
just
right.
a little delay on that.
Okay, it sounds good to me because that's why I want to promote that for you because if you looked at the past from being on Taina working at Nickelodeon to your present, did that help like guide you, benefit your the way you work now in a beneficial way? It was a learning process for you.
It definitely was.
Hmm.
There are things at that time I had ideas and there's things that I wanted to do, outside of just designing or acting or whatever, but didn't really understand how to go about doing that. But that was just an experience for me that really taught me a lot. Not only acting and being on the set and working on the actual show, but the business side of things. The people that I was around and the way I saw other people working their business. Nick Cannon is another one that I praise all the time because that boy knew his business back then when he was a baby. He
Hmm.
knew what he wanted to do, and he knew how to do it. He knew how to make those deals happen. He inked the deal for his own show, the Nick Cannon show, walked around with his own camera and shot it. And had it aired on Nickelodeon like back then. And
Yeah.
we were kids. So I respect him. I respect him. And I learn from people like that. I really do. Lisa as well, she taught me a lot, talking to me about the business side of things. And Maria Perez, who's the creator of our show, she's another one. She's
Yeah.
an
She's a
entertainment
brilliant
lawyer.
lady, I must say. Sorry to cut you off. I
Oh
love
no,
her.
she's awesome, and she's an entertainment lawyer, and she writes and she develops shows, which is what I'm also trying to do as well. So I learned a lot from those people. It definitely was like, okay, I don't just have to audition. Okay, I can write a show too, and I can get one thing. I can executive produce, and I can just that was definitely my training period. Was Taina.
Gonna have two more questions for you, but going
Sure.
to Nick Studios, it's been gone for close for this April will be 10 years since it's been gone. It's occupied by Blue Man Group right now, but it's so sorely
By
missed.
who?
Blue Man Group.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that, but it's been like yesterday. Time flies. Gosh.
Gosh, yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's sorely missed by so many people. But would you like to see it reopen one day? Do you think it should come back, Nickelodeon?
I don't know. Like I said, in terms of our show being shot in LA, there wasn't as much of a difference in terms of the shooting quality of the show or anything like that. I think it'd be good for actors. For young actors, it's a good environment. For young actors that are just getting started on a show, that aren't really seasoned, it's a good environment because you don't have the pressures of LA.
Yeah,
You kind of can just go to work and come home and enjoy, still being a kid or still being regular a little bit. So it'd be nice for them to have it for that. What would be, if it doesn't make sense for them budget wise, though I can't see justifying it for just that reason.
mm,
So I kind of think it's kind of a catch-22. I do think that it was a good attraction to add to the theme park also, someplace kids can go and see where things are being shot and how they're being shot, which may make some other kid want to do it one day. There are a lot of good reasons for it to be there, but again, I don't know if it's enough in terms of the money they have to spend on it.
yeah. I hear what you're saying totally. It's at the end of the day, it does come down to budget wise, but and
Hmm.
what do you think made it so great and special though? The Nickelodeon Studios in Florida, Orlando.
Just the environment that it was in, and the fact that we were in a theme park, and again, it just kind of felt like we were just at home when we went at home. When we went home every night, we all had space, and we could go to Disneyland. I mean Disney World if we wanted to, and it was other activities. And there's a lot to do in LA also, but it's just everything is so Hollywood. Everything is actor, and what do you do, and
Yeah.
in performing arts, and it's all about that in LA pretty much. So Orlando just gives you a good balance, and I think that was the best part of it. Because even my mom and my family says that that she's like, I really enjoyed visiting you down there because you got a little bit of Hollywood because we were on a major show, but it was still regular. Felt like vacation.
Yeah, it was a family friendly environment, I must say, where you could just be
Mhm.
yourselves
Mhm.
casual. And that's why I wanted to
Yeah.
create this project just to hear so many stories and just for people to remember this place and kind of just wish that it could be a new generation could be seen and brought back to the kids of today. And
Mhm.
I'm just so grateful
Mhm.
to hear your stories because if it wasn't for you guys and the fans, there would be no part of this. There would be no project made.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. And maybe they will. Yeah, so much Nickelodeon can do. That they may need the space because the studio out in LA is not that big where they could do everything out of that. So maybe it will come back one day. So
Yeah, yeah,
we'll hope that.
yeah. Hopefully it will. Awesome, awesome. Well, I wrapped it up. We finally got to it. The interview. We finally
Yes,
did.
yay!
Yeah. Thank you, thank
Thank you
you.
for being so patient. I appreciate it. You can call me anytime. I'm not extra or nothing, so you can call me whenever, and just let me know and remind me.
That sounds good to me. All right. I will talk to you later. All right. Have a nice
All right.
day.
You too. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.